What's up? So, this video is going to be a little bit different than what I normally do. Obviously, if you couldn't tell by the title or whatever, this is going to be a redo of my response to Mr. Count Blagrith's "What albums in your collection mean the most to you?" And right off the bat, strap in. There's a lot here. Like, a lot. I already know editing is going to be a fucking mess for this. And more so to the point, I'm not going to be inserting sound clips for any of this. I've either talked about or will talk about each and every single one of these albums at some point in the future, or I have in the past. So yeah, just to kind of give you an example, that is the subject for the next vinyl video, and then all of this shit, including those CDs right here, that's all going to be talked about in this video. And if you're wondering what we're going to be listening to in the background for this is Drinkskapper with Was der Morast Verschlang, I think. I don't speak German, obviously, but this is actually going to be talked about in the next vinyl video. If you like what you hear, look forward to the next vinyl. Another thing to point out is that in this video, I'm not going to be pointing out specific, like, I don't have anything written down. I didn't do any research for any of this shit. Pretty much all of this is going to be straight off the dome. But if I do mention specific dates, don't get used to it. And I'm also not going to be mentioning specific prices, because if you remember 6 years ago, God, what Sean said in his video is it could be meaningful albums with just things that you have fond memories of, or it could be expensive. I'm going to do both, kind of like he did, like Canyon did, like how everybody fucking did. This one is the first one that comes to mind. I'm going to take care of a monetary value first, but this is Rings of Saturn, Ulta Ula. I just saw this literally right as I was grabbing this off the shelf. Some dickhead, for the version that I have, paid $255 for this. This one is Watain with Opus Diaboli. I don't remember the exact value for this, but I know it was one of the pricier things in my collection. This one kind of means a bit to me. If you don't know, this is the Watain anniversary 13 year, I believe. This is their live show and DVD that comes with it. This kind of what turned me into a Watain disciple, honestly. I was over at my uncle's house. He popped in the DVD. We watched it, and I don't know, man, seeing something about seeing Waters of Vain live really made me want this so bad. And one last thing to point out in between these albums is that I'm also not going to be showing off basically everything that the album comes with, because again, I already know this video is going to be long enough as is. Again, I will talk about them, or have talked about them, in videos past, present, or future. This is just going to be detailing memories and just mind-bogglingly high prices that people paid for shit that I got for moderate value. And next up, for monetary value, this is Sheer Terror with the Bulldog box. This is 5 albums, No Grounds for Pity, Just Can't Hate Enough, Thanks for Nothing, Old New, Borrowed and Blue, and Unheard Unloved. This is really good, classic New York hardcore. I actually just saw them not that long ago with my uncle, my aunt, and their friend. It was a kick-ass show, and if you guys haven't heard of Sheer Terror before, it's like all jaded love songs, and just pissed off shit at the world, and it's really fucking good. I waited a long fucking time for this thing, and I got it for like $120, and I think now it sells for upwards of $200, which, I mean, it's 5 albums, so it makes a little more sense, but like, Jesus, dude. And then last on the purely monetary value scale of it, this is Death with Scream Bloody Gore. Everybody knows Death. You know what Death sounds like. This is the Relapse box set reissue. I don't know what the price is that somebody paid for this, but I believe it was in the 200s, if not the high hundreds, which again is ridiculous, but knowing the way that Death's fan base is exactly like Rings of Saturn's fan base, where they just worship at the altar that anything the fucking guitarist has done. It doesn't matter how shitty it is. That doesn't really surprise me that much, but yeah, Death, Scream, Bloody Gore. Alright, this one is a solid mixture of monetary and sentimental. This is the Carnifex self-titled demo. I'm still not going to divulge how I got this, but let it be known that I will literally never be able to thank the person I got this from enough. This is hands down literally the most valuable CD in my collection, period. But the fact that I own this, and more so to the point, have it signed by everybody in the band, that being, Scott, Fred, Corey, Sean, and Jordan when he was still in the band, it is fucking insane to me that I own this. And this goes for $250 on Discogs, but this literally is one of the items in my collection I can quite literally never, ever, ever part with, no matter how much, no matter in what kind of financial straits that I find myself in. It's good shit. It's literally just like a more raw version of the first Carnifex album, and yeah, it's great shit. If you know, I believe if you ordered Scott Ian Moose's graphic novel, which I do have, you were able to actually get this, and I think that really drove the price down, because at one point I saw on Discogs some poor dickhead had paid like $400 fucking for the CD. Now it's only worth like $250, but point being is that is more than a CD of any kind should ever sell for under any circumstances. But yeah, like I said, I will never be able to express how much it means to me that I own this fucking thing. This is literally like the crowning jewel of everything that I own from Carnifex, and I own, obviously, a lot of Carnifex-related shit. Yeah. Next up, Demon Hunter with True Defiance. I've talked about Demon Hunter before on this channel. I believe that I talked about Outlive and how much I fucking hate that album. But this is their 2012 release, and in my opinion, this is literally the best thing that they've ever done. And frankly, with the direction that they're going with like War and Peace and everything that I've heard recently, this is probably the best thing they're ever going to do. I have a lot of memories with their self-titled Storm the Gates of Hell, the Triptych, Summer of Darkness, not so much The World is a Thorn, but when I say that this is probably my soundtrack to 2012 and 2013, I mean it wholeheartedly. This is, honest to God, some of the best fucking metalcore that I think I've ever heard, and there's probably a huge nostalgia factor that goes along with it, but Demon Hunter has always spoke to me, as long as I've fucking been listening to them, honestly. They were like literally the only band that I listened to for a very, very long time. And then once I started branching out my music taste more, they are still somebody that I listen to super, super frequently. Not as much now because, again, I've kind of fallen out of love with the new shit that they're doing. Outlive really sent them down the wrong path, but yeah, the good shit. If you don't know Demon Hunter, fuck's sake, dude, don't let the fucking Christian lyrics trip you out. If you're a fan of like second wave metalcore, this is where it's fucking at. Next up, I actually just talked about this in the video that was released before this, but this is Haste a Day with Dreamer. Again, this is, in my opinion, the best Haste a Day album, and will continue to be the best album, literally forever. This, just like with Demon Hunter, man, this shit was like my fucking soundtrack leading up until True Defiance for almost everything. The same thing goes for An Ocean Between Us by As I Lay Dying, but a little bit less so. I definitely listen to this more. I have a lot of memories of popping this thing on one of my old MP3s, hooking it up to a speaker, and doing exercises and shit in my room back when I was still living with my fucking parents. But again, this is some fucking amazing second wave metalcore, and like I say for almost anything, do not let the Christian lyrics throw you off. If you enjoy second wave metalcore, don't deprive yourself just because of the whole Christianity thing. That's fucking stupid. But yeah, I've rambled on about this long enough. Like I said, it's already in the previous video. Haste a Day, Dreamer. Alright, next up, we got My Children, My Bride with the self-titled. This came out the same year that True Defiance came out. And I also saw them at the Scream the Prayer tour with Demon Hunter 100th and fuck me if I can remember most of the other fucking bands there, but My Children, My Bride, they are the first band shirt that I ever bought with my own money, actually. And the CD is also 10 years old, and the album 10 years old already. My Children, My Bride, and this is legitimately like really good. I don't even know if this is a phrase, but like atmospheric second wave metalcore. This album specifically, Lost Boys and Unbreakable are both good, but this, dude, holy shit, this is literally such a dark album. And again, from metalcore, that's surprising as shit. I have a lot of memories listening to this with my dad, even around my mom, and especially like the God of Nothing music video. That is, I've got a lot of fond memories all the way across the board with this whole album. But yeah, My Children, My Bride with My Children, My Bride. Keeping in the vein of shit that's gonna get me fucking labeled a poser if more than 20 people watch this shit. This is Shine Down with Amaryllis. I actually have a couple more memories with The Sound of Madness than I do with Amaryllis. But Shinedown's always been kind of one of those bands for me where it's like, you know what, I'll get around to it when I get around to it. It's not super high on the priority list. But yeah, dude, this is such a fucking good hard rock album. Brent Smith, if I'm remembering right, is the vocalist's name. He has such incredible fucking range. And this whole album front to back is just fucking filled with fucking bangers, dude. And like, I understand if you're not into hard rock, there's nothing really that I can do to fucking change it, but yeah, this is fucking solid gold as far as I'm concerned. There's not a fucking droopy song anywhere on this fucking album. I have a lot of memories of watching music videos and shit with my dad, especially to Bully and Enemies. Good shit. Most of my family enjoys this. Obviously, me withstanding. Yeah. Shine Down, Amaryllis. Alright, second to last CD I'm going to show, Slipknot, the Great, .5, The Great Chapter. It's fucking Slipknot, dude. I don't really know what you expect. You know me, you know Slipknot is, like, constantly contending for being my favorite band, between that and Carnifex, obviously. The reason why this one is on here, I also believe I pulled out All Hope Is Gone. If I didn't, you'll see it. But the reason that this one is on here as well is because of track 13, the negative one. Psychosocial is the first Slipknot song that I ever heard. This old app called PocketTube, if you remember it, I downloaded that, the music video, and it's really, really, really fucking good. And I've always found like masks and shit kind of aesthetically pleasing, super fucking cool and scary shit. You know, that's half the reason, like, why Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees are some of the most remembered slashers in history, is because, you know, they're the masked, big, muscular motherfuckers. But yeah, I've always found masks and shit appealing, and I figured Slipknot was one of those bands. This is 2014 or 2013. But I was like, okay, I figured they'd pump out an album like every like 2 to 3 years. I found out that there hadn't been one since 2008, and that they had a countdown on their website. I was like, okay, let's check this out. I heard the negative one, and I have a fucking single copy of it, but I heard the negative one, and my mind was literally fucking blown, dude. It was so fucking amazing. And even then, I still listen to this album almost the most frequently out of all Slipknot albums, period. This one means a lot to me because it helped me get into the music that I am into today. It's a huge result as to why I listen to all the shit that I do today. But yeah, Slipknot, .5, The Great Chapter. And this one, I kind of wanted to wait until the vinyl version came out, but I did a pre-order last year, and I guess pressing plant problems in fucking Germany or some shit because of COVID. But yeah, this is a little bit less sentimental to me, but it's absolutely means a lot to me that I fucking own this thing. This is Imperium Decadence with Priscilla Vadens. Again, I'm not going to talk too much in detail about it, but basically, this is kind of the album that got me into atmospheric black metal in general. Like, I knew in a way what atmospheric black metal was prior to me listening to this for the first time, but nothing really captured my attention the way that it did. And if you know anything about the old video, I said that I was looking up black metal album art one day. It was a really cold fucking winter night. Just gotten off of work. I think I was like super fucking just depressed and alone and an angsty fucking 18-year-old. But I was looking it up, super fucking cold. I was already listening to like fucking Behexen or something, and I saw this album art. I was like, oh, shit, what does that go to? Because it is, to this day, that is some of my favorite album art, period. It's like, what does that go to? Priscilla Vattens, okay. So I popped it on, and my dude, it almost sounds like the way that Dark Space sounds spacey. That is exactly how the hell this sounded to me at first. Now it's like super Cascadian, I guess is the word to use, but Imperium Decadence doesn't get it fucking enough love from anybody but me, as far as I'm aware. Imperium Decadence, Priscilla Vattens. And this is one that I'm going to be talking about very soon. We're done with CDs now, we're going purely onto vinyl. This is Panopticon, and again, Into the Light. And the main reason why I have this on, in this video isn't because I have a whole lot of memories made with this album. It was only released last year, for fuck's sake. But literally the one memory that I do have with this album, despite the fact that I was way too intoxicated to remember much of anything about it, is being over at Canyon's house. And he and I were, by the time that the first, side A of this record had stopped playing, and we were probably already, 4 or 5 shots deep, man, and all we were doing was just, talking about life, catching up with each other in person, and Kaylee and her son were making Crash Bandicoot masks. That's more or less the only thing that I remember about that night, besides, being there. For the singular memory that I have made with this album alone, I don't think I could ever bear to part with it, just because even that one is such a vital core memory to me. And I just look back on summer of last year with such, bright eyes, It was a really good time, and like I said in the Vinyl Comeback video, I'll never be able to thank Canyon and Kaylee enough for letting me into their fucking home, dude. They were awesome hosts, and this is a good album. Alright, next up, this one's not the best, and if I'm being completely honest with myself and with you guys, the main reason I have this one in this video is for one song. This is Whitechapel with Mark of the Blade. And the one song in particular that I am talking about is track 4, Bring Me Home. And the reason why is because that song very recently, and even as little as 3 years ago, is part of what has helped me get through the death of my childhood dog, Abby. She's the reason that I have my thigh tattoo. And it's also been a huge help in helping me get through the very recent death at the time of this video, of my dog Winston. I love the both of them dearly. I'm very, very attached to my animals, obviously, which is a huge reason why I didn't fucking kill Oreo when he chewed up the stylus, besides just general concern for another living creature's well-being. But yeah, it is that song in particular, especially the line, "I'll never forgive the world for taking my best friend," is the one that usually ends up bringing me to tears, and it so perfectly surmises everything that I feel dealing with the death of their loved ones. So yeah, Whitechapel, Mark the Blade. Alright, and I'm gonna get the really sappy shit, really sappy shit out of the way first and foremost. This one is Slipknot with All Hope Is Gone. Obviously, I mentioned it earlier. And a massive reason is obviously I owe Psychosocial as a song a lot for me being into the music that I'm into nowadays. But the two songs in particular that have always stuck with me, shit, man, ever since 2016, have been tracks 5 and tracks 11. That being Dead Memories and Snuff. And the reason why those have stuck with me is both of those really helped me during a time where I was going through a lot of really bad emotional issues. Full disclosure, and the next one, trust me, it doesn't get any fucking lighter with the next one. Obviously, it's gonna be talking about that. But in 2016, that is when my ex, Amanda, had broken up with me. And this is not like a cry for help or anything. This is not throwing blame on anybody. I literally couldn't care less. I am a happily engaged man. But in 2016, my ex, Amanda, had decided to end our relationship. And after about a week of very not so careful consideration, but reckless consideration, I had decided that I wanted to kill myself. And I decided that the last song that I wanted to hear, one of the last songs that I wanted to hear was Snuff by Slipknot, because everything that Corey Taylor wrote those lyrics about, which he says it's not about anybody in particular, but I mean, do the fucking math. Like, I think the year prior to this album coming out is when he got divorced. I don't really keep up with celebrity drama, but everything that he says in those lyrics, for Snuff specifically, like Dead Memories has helped me get through a lot of very emotional times as well, but everything that he says in Snuff so perfectly encapsulated how I felt about that situation and my feelings towards my ex-girlfriend as well. Snuff in particular, I understand it's like, if you read into it and the music video, then obviously it's about like some dude who's obsessively stalking his ex, which I wasn't doing. Yeah, I wasn't doing that. Sorry, I had to flip the record. I wasn't doing that, but it's still the absolute pain and heartbreak that I felt, because she was my first love. And just how destroyed I was over it, Snuff really spoke to me in that moment. And like I said, I decided that was one of the last, if not the last song that I wanted to go out to. 2016 was a really dark place for me. But yeah, I've gotten sappy enough for long enough. Slipknot, All Hope Is Gone. Alright, and this is going to be the last of the sappy shit, like depressive sappy shit. This is Carnifex, All Hope Is Gone. This is literally one of the top 3 contenders for my favorite album of all time, and the reason being is this is prior to 2016, but also includes it. 2015 is another instance in which I decided that I wanted to kill myself. I don't deal with that at all anymore. I still deal with depression on some level, everybody does, but 2015 and 2016 were particularly bad times for my mental well-being. I wasn't seeing anybody, and the main solace that I had was music. And besides the fact that, I got this signed by the entire fucking lineup, this Die Without Hope specifically, and Dark Days and Where the Light Dies were also, and I know it's kind of like a big contrast switch from fucking Snuff and Dead Memories, but those are another 3 songs I kind of put on my list of things that I want to hear before I die. Not even for beauty, not because it's just such a good fucking song. I can't imagine that being the last. No, because the lyrics that Scotty and Lewis writes about have always spoke to me, especially when I was younger than I am now. But sincerely, dude, like Die Without Hope, Dark Days, and Where the Light Dies, those were three albums that really spoke to me, and they're actually some of the first Carnifex lyrics that I had memorized, period. And I don't think I'll ever be able to part with the vinyl of this, or the flag, or anything Die Without Hope related at all. And this is actually a huge reason what solidified Carnifex into being one of, if not my favorite band of all fucking time. Yeah, this album means a lot, and the reason being is because, again, mental health issues when I was younger. But yeah, Carnifex, Die Without Hope. Alright, this one's a little bit less sappy. This is Behemoth and the Satanist. Obviously, this is one of the two, with being the other being Die Without Hope. One of the two contenders for my favorite fucking album of all time. Much in the same way that I owe a lot to the Negative One, I owe a lot to this album as a whole. Because this has consistently remained one of my favorite albums ever. And I understand it's one of the most overhyped albums to shit. And I can't fucking, dude, I can't fucking stand Nurgle's, social media feed anymore. It really is just, it just feels so fucking out of touch. And that could be something to do with the fact that he's Polish. It could be something to do with the fact that Nurgle himself is, a very franchisable man. But, yeah, this album, honest to God, changed my fucking perspective on music. I had never heard anything so dark, brooding, and heavy, and initially when I had watched with my uncle the music video to Blow Your Trumpets, Gabriel, I was befuddled, dude. Every single fucking note on this album, I know. Almost every single lyric on this album, I fucking know. I love this thing to death, and again, there's a fucking reason why it's, my favorite album of all time. Yeah, Behemoth, the Satanist. And this one is, again, progressively less sappy, but this is Avenged Sevenfold with Hail of the King. I know I'm already gonna get shit over this, but this album is another stepping stone into me listening to what I listen to today, the kind of music that I find myself listening to today. Hail of the King, I know I've said this probably 5-10 other times on this channel. Hail of the King is the album that, the first Avenged Sevenfold song that I heard, technically speaking, and actually, really listened to. It was the Black Ops 2 Origins Zombies trailer that I heard, and they played Shepherd of Fire on there. And I was like, damn, this is a really good song. And then I checked out Hail of the King, the title track, afterwards. It's like, holy shit, something about the constant, I don't know what exactly the picking pattern is, but something about that in particular, just going through pretty much the whole song and sounding so proud and almost really like a chant, really fucking stuck with me, dude. So much so to the point that I actually, I own this on vinyl instead of just having it on fucking CD. But yeah, I owe a lot to Hail to the King. I owe a lot to Avenged Sevenfold. Not as much as I do to the Satanist or Carnifex or Slipknot, but a decent chunk. Yeah. Avenged Sevenfold, Hail to the King. Alright, next up, we got something that absolutely rocked my shit when I heard it. This is Apocalyptic Triumphator by Archgoat. I fucked that up. But yeah, this, dude, when I first heard the intro to Nuns, Cunts, and Darkness, I believe I was heading home with my uncle from a trip to my grandparents, and he put this fucking album on, dude. To this day, I legitimately think that this is one of the heaviest, crunchiest fucking albums I have ever heard in my life. And this is when it was still relatively fresh as well. I believe it was in 2015 that I had heard this. And it blew my fucking gourd, dude. I cannot express to you how befuddled and fucking scared and intrigued and fascinated that I was when I heard Nuns, Cunts, and Darkness for the first time. Obviously, this whole record is full of fucking banger after banger after banger, but that song in particular is insane. And when I tell you the first time that I heard, Left Hand Path, Left Hand Path, right before Congregation of the Circumcised, and you hear that pig being fucking whipped and beaten, quote unquote. I was in my room listening to that with headphones on, and I don't even think I was actually playing a video game or anything. I just heard that, and it scared the living shit out of me, even when I was well acquainted with the fucking album. It just hit different when the fucking lights are off, man. But yeah, obviously, great fucking album. I don't need to talk your ear off about it anymore. Archgoat, Apocalyptic Triumphator. And the next one that we got to talk about is Blutas Nord with Memoria Vetusta 3 Saturnian Poetry. And the reason why this one is on the list isn't really for... It's a little bit of sentimental value, but this is also literally the first record that I ever bought with my own money after I got my job. My first job, obviously. The first proper vinyl I had ever gone on my way to buy myself. And I remember the wait for this thing was long. Because I had ordered from Debbie Remorti, and I can't give you specifics about it. I just know that I was probably a solid 3 weeks, maybe a month, I was waiting on this fucking thing to come in the mail. And when it finally came in, I had to wait another like 2 weeks for Christmas before I could use my Electro home turntable. And when I initially heard this is at my uncle's house, and I thought this is some of the haziest, like most beautiful fucking black metal that I've ever heard. And to this day, Blutas Nord is such an amazing fucking band. But yeah, I knew that I had to have this. It was literally the first album that came to mind when I was like, okay, I need to get vinyl. But yeah, it's still good shit though. Check it out if for some reason you fucking haven't. Blutas Nord, Memoria Vetusta 3 Saturnian Poetry. And next up, we've got Caladan Brood with Echoes of Battle. And this one is a mixture of, another mixture of monetary value and nostalgia. Positive nostalgia though. I was watching one of Sean's videos back in the day. I believe it was sometime around 2015. I actually still have a playlist now. Tonight's Albums is what it was called. And I was watching one of Sean's old videos, and the way that he described this band, and especially after he had shown the artwork, if you can't tell, this is the Die Hard, and I'll get into that. But the way that he described the music and seeing the artwork, I knew that I had to listen to this, and it is so breathtakingly fucking amazing. And obviously it's summoning worship, but I'm with the party that I like this more than I like a lot of summoning shit that I've heard. Not to say that summoning's bad, but I like this more. And on the monetary aspect of this, I know that the Die Hard goes for a lot of fucking money online. I know it goes for a lot of fucking money online. And I won this in a Facebook raffle, dude. I spent $10 to get into a raffle. I think I literally only got one ticket, and somehow I fucking got it. That's what that flag is for. I have the button, the posters and everything. Yeah, it's just one of those things. It's a holy grail that I never thought I'd be able to own without blowing literally hundreds of dollars on it. But yeah, Caladan Brood, Echoes of Battle. And next up, we've got Carcass with Surgical Steel. I've talked about this several times on the channel before. This is my very first Carcass album that I intently listened to. I was probably played it sometime, a Carcass album sometime in the past, but I gave this a shot because I was going to the concert with Carcass, Macabre, Noisem, and Exhumed. And, dude, this shit was... I listen to this thing so fucking much. I don't nearly as much anymore, but they played a lot of songs off of... They played a lot of songs off of Surgical Steel that night, and the memories that I have associated with that concert, with my uncle, and just in general, this album is sincerely, it's still one of my favorites despite the fact that I don't listen to it nearly as frequently as I did. It's really good, like groovy fucking death metal, and I know at some points people are like, oh, it sounds like cartoon metal or some shit, but it's still fucking good. It's definitely no necroticism, Descanting to Insalubrious, or heart. This is a lot more adjacent to Heartwork than it is anything that they did prior to Heartwork, but it's still good shit. Carcass, Surgical Steel. This one is going to be a little bit difficult to see, but this is Cult de Ghoul with Henbane. And I remember, I believe it was 2013, another situation with my uncle. I tried showing him some Ancestor. I believe it's Martyrium or Martyrium, however the hell you say that fucking album name. And then he showed me this as a result, as like a take that. But when I heard the beginning to the very first song, Idols of Chosen Damned, I was fucking terrified. Because mind you, I was a very devout Christian at the time, just knew that I liked metal, and I didn't really care about fucking lyrics. And I heard Mark of the Devil come in with his yo, and the insanely, like, not kind of hazy, but like not foggy hazy, more just like really distorted fucking tremolo picking. I just didn't know what the hell or how the hell to process this really. And this is another that I owe quite a bit to, because if it wasn't for Cult de Ghoul in general, I wouldn't be into a lot of like cavernous black metal, a lot of scary shit. And I mean, I love Haxan too. And Coven's obviously not really cavernous black metal. But the early stuff, like the first two fucking Cult de Ghoul records, this is literally some of the most evil shit you will hear in your fucking life. Yeah, Cult de Ghoul, Henbang. Next one, Ghost BC with Infesting Your Mom. This is another nostalgia factor thing for me, but this is like 2014, I believe. If you couldn't tell, and if you haven't been able to piece together, if you're a longtime viewer, I talk about 2014 a lot. It was a huge fucking musical year for me, but this is either 2013 or 2014. I had heard about this band Ghost, and I wanted to check them out. First song I ever heard, Monstrance Clock. And then after that, I believe I had listened to Year Zero and saw the music video, and it's like, boobies! But yeah, I checked that out, and then as a result, I checked out Opus Eponymous, and then Meliora, after, you know, obviously when it came out. But this shit is it's like super fucking funky, groovy, fucking cheesy-ass satanic 60s music. And it's really fucking good, dude. And it wasn't really so much a stepping stone, but absolutely, I fucking love this album to death, dude. And for being the album that got me into Ghost, whether that be for good or bad nowadays, I fucking love this thing to death. Ghost, Infesting Your Mom. Next up, we're at about 46 minutes, so I'm gonna try to get through the rest of these. There isn't much left. But next up, we got Migwa with Exercises in Futility. This is the first Migwa album that I sat down and listened to. I want to say I was playing like Shadow of Mordor or something when this album had came out, and my uncle had recommended this to me. And I believe the first one I heard was Exercises in Futility 4, and I heard the drum work from drummer's name, can't remember, insert chastising comment here. But when I heard the drum work and the fucking riff work, dude, it was mind-blowing. And then I knew I had to get a fucking vinyl of it, because I'd already had my turntable at that point. And then I started reading along with the lyrics, and especially the lyrics to 1 and 6, like, stuck with me, dude. I love the super heavy misanthropic fucking worldview that M has. It's super fucking good. Yeah, I'll never be able to fucking forget this album ever. I still listen to this pretty fucking frequently. Yeah, Migwa, Exercises in Futility. Alright, next up, we got Nocturnal Depression with Reflections of a Sad Soul. And this is one of those situations where the art really stuck out to me, specifically on the poster that Canyon had during his room tour video. However fucking long ago that was, because, you know, when I first heard, or not heard, but seen his channel, I kind of binge watched everything, because I was like, more music, more music, more music. And I'm also a dork, and I like to see, you know, what the flags and posters and shit people have in the rooms and shit. But I'd seen the artwork, and I'm like, that is really fucking interesting. And it's the DSBM, which I hadn't really listened to much of, if any, at that point, unless you maybe count Shining, specifically Everyone, Everything, Everywhere Ends. But I'd seen that, and Canyon had highly recommended this album. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna fucking check it out. And this album is what solidified me trusting Canyon's music taste fucking implicitly and still hasn't fucking let me down to this day, dude. I talk about you a lot, dude. I'm sorry, I sound like a fucking fanboy. Also, if you're wondering about that jump cut, apparently my phone only lets me record so much. But yeah, I sound like a fucking fanboy. I just fucking love you, dude. And sincerely, like, you have introduced me to some fucking great music. And this is the album that really, really made me take a hard look at the shit that you recommend. And it's so goddamn good. And I'm happy that I do. Yeah, Nocturnal Depression with Reflections of a Sad Soul. Alright, third from last. This is Iron Maiden with Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. And I've talked about this album before. And it's probably my favorite Maiden record. It's the first one that I ever listened to. Downloaded it again on PocketTube. But yeah, this album is really fucking good, and it really is just one giant fucking synth rock ballad after another. That doesn't take away from the fact that it's legitimately like really good new wave of British heavy metal shit. Definitely not their best. That would go to either Power Slave or Somewhere in Time. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I've got a lot of fond memories with this. This is another situation where I was trying to branch out into music that I liked, and my parents just kept pushing back. And my dad actually is a huge Iron Maiden fan. He just doesn't listen to them nearly as much because of his religious beliefs. But yeah, this album's fucking killer, dude. And I remember specifically on multiple occasions, I don't know why, because little me was a fucking glutton for punishment. I was going out of my way in several situations to fucking try and get myself caught by having the volume of my earbuds turned really, really loud and have a discussion about the music or something. But yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia associated with this. Still a good Maiden record. Iron Maiden, Seventh Son of Seventh Son. Alright. Second from last, this is Paul Bearer with Foundations of Burden, and this is the album that got me into Paul Bearer, and I want to accredit this with also super, super heavily getting me into doom metal in general, which is the truth. My uncle had actually told me that the program that he runs to get new music, if he's not going to buy it on fucking CD, he told me that somebody in Paul Bearer, don't know who, couldn't tell you, had uploaded basically the pre-pro or the demo versions of Foundations of Burden. I was like, I gotta check that out, because they had messaged him, been like, please don't post it anywhere, so on and so forth, what the fuck ever. But it's like, okay, I gotta check that out. And I had heard it, not the demo, but this, and it is so fucking good, dude. And I know this is kind of where Paul Bearer started to lose people, either jumped ship or got the fuck on board. But some of the lyrics on this shit too, dude, are fucking incredible. And they, in a non-plagiarizing way, have really inspired some of the shit that I write to this day. But yeah, Paul Bearer with Foundations of Burden. Alright, and last up, this one is another healthy mixture of monetary value and nostalgia. This is Infinite Annihilator with the Elysian Grandevil Galeriac, or Egg. Yeah, I've got a shitload of memories with this album, both positive and overwhelmingly negative. I believe that I saw somebody had paid $270 some odd for this on Discogs before I started recording this video. Ridiculous. Which is even more ridiculous considering the fact that indie merch are such fucking dickheads. I'm sorry, I sound like a fucking fanboy. Also, if you're wondering about that jump cut, apparently my phone only lets me record so much. But yeah, I sound like a fucking fanboy. I just fucking love you, dude. And sincerely, like, you have introduced me to some fucking great music. And this is the album that really, really made me take a hard look at the shit that you recommend. And it's so goddamn good. And I'm happy that I do. Yeah, Nocturnal Depression with Reflections of a Sad Soul. Alright, third from last, this is Iron Maiden with Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, and I've talked about this album before, and it's probably my favorite Maiden record. It's the first one that I ever listened to, downloaded it again on PocketTube. But yeah, this album is really fucking good, and it really is just one giant fucking synth rock ballad after another. That doesn't take away from the fact that it's legitimately like really good new wave of British heavy metal shit. Definitely not their best. That would go to either Power Slave or Somewhere in Time. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I've got a lot of fond memories with this. This is another situation where I was trying to branch out into music that I liked, and my parents just kept pushing back. And my dad actually is a huge Iron Maiden fan. He just doesn't listen to them nearly as much because of his religious beliefs. But yeah, this album's fucking killer, dude. And I remember specifically on multiple occasions, I don't know why, because little me was a fucking glutton for punishment. I was going out of my way in several situations to fucking try to get myself caught by having the volume of my earbuds turn really, really loud and have a discussion about the music or something. But yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia associated with this. Still a good Maiden record. Iron Maiden, Seventh Son of Seventh Son. Alright, second from last. This is Paul Bearer with Foundations of Burden. And this is the album that got me into Paul Bearer. And I want to accredit this with also super, super heavily getting me into doom metal in general, which is the truth. My uncle had actually told me that the program that he runs to get new music, if he's not going to buy it on fucking CD, he told me that somebody in Paul Bearer, don't know who, couldn't tell you, had uploaded basically the pre-pro or the demo versions of Foundations of Burden. I was like, I gotta check that out, because they had messaged him, been like, please don't post it anywhere, so on and so forth, what the fuck ever. And it's like, okay, I gotta check that out. And I had heard it, not the demo, but this, and it is so fucking good, dude. And I know this is kind of where Paul Bearer started to lose people, either jump ship or got the fuck on board. But some of the lyrics on this shit too, dude, are fucking incredible. And they, in a non-plagiarizing way, have really inspired some of the shit that I write to this day. But yeah, Paul Bearer with Foundations of Burden. Alright, and last up, this one is another healthy mixture of monetary value and nostalgia. This is Infinite Annihilator with the Elysian Grandiva Galeriac, or Egg. Yeah, I've got a shitload of memories with this album, both positive and overwhelmingly negative. I believe that I saw somebody had paid $270 some odd for this on Discogs before I started recording this video. Ridiculous. Which is even more ridiculous considering the fact that indie merch are such fucking dickheads. I literally cannot express how much that fucking irritates me, dude. Like, oh my fucking god. And more so to the point, the whole reason that I don't buy from indie merch anymore is because of this album. They double charged me. I tried to get they double charged me for the pre-order for, the hat, the flag, not the CD, patch, and a shirt. And I'll get to the shirt in a minute. But they double charged me, tried to get a hold of somebody through email, even through their fucking customer service phone number. Nobody would fucking get back to me. So I don't buy from any merch directly anymore. Yeah, negative. And then the last negative aspect of it is also the fucking hassle that goes into this goddamn vinyl is insane. So I was wearing the shirt that came with it. It was literally just a picture. It was like the typical, like, Michelangelo painted, like, Jesus throwing up the horns and he had fucking gauges. That was literally it. And obviously you could see Infant Annihilator. But for some reason that got my mom fucking thinking. She looked up the lyrics and she burned the fucking shirt. The shirt that was probably worth $40 to $50 fucking dollars. And then got it in her head to read aloud to me and my, at the time, 15-year-old fucking sister, the lyrics to Soil the Stillborn, which was incredibly awkward. And I'll stand by it. I don't see a fucking problem with lyrics. Yes, they're gross, yes, they're grody, yes, they're fucking disgusting, but that's the whole fucking point of the music, is getting it through your fucking head that the Catholic Church has done fucked up shit, obviously. But yeah, the hassle that goes into this record and that pre-order alone, I couldn't leave this fucking thing out. And lastly, I'd also like to point out that on the positive end of the spectrum, Dickie Allen literally has, like, after I heard Forced Gender Reassignment and the entirety of Monolith of Inhumanity from Cattle Decapitation, Travis Ryan was my vocal inspiration. I wanted to get gutturals like him. I wanted to be able to, like, goblin scream like he did, the clean singing shit. But once I heard the insane nature of what Dickie Allen could do with his fucking voice, he's my new vocal idol. And it's been that way ever since 2016, dude. Literally, the vocal performance on Soil is Stillborn, Behold the Kingdom of Wretched and Undying, which I know he shares with other people. Motherless Miscarriage, Unholy Grave Birth, literally just this whole fucking album is insane. The dude literally sounds like a goddamn velociraptor. And the range is insane. And he's jealous, and he's one of the main reasons I stick to fucking vocals. Even if I don't have a band to go with it, ever, I'm gonna stick with vocals because I can only hope to be this good one day. But yeah, last but not least, Infinilator with the Elysian Grandyville Galariac. And holy fucking smokes, guys, this video's a fucking hour. My phone has stopped twice. Yeah, it's all sorts of a pain in the ass, and like I said, I already know editing is going to be a fucking nightmare. It's going to take God knows how long to render this fucking thing. But yeah, thanks for sticking around. After the next vinyl bit, it'll probably be another CD thing. So yeah, deuces.